This episode is brought to you by Springbrook Autism Behavioral Health, where compassionate care meets clinical excellence. Located in scenic South Carolina, Springbrook is a world-class behavioral health center dedicated exclusively to treating children, teens, and young adults with autism. Their multidisciplinary team specializes in customized treatment plans that support every individual's unique needs, challenges, and strengths. They focus on safely structure and success. Springbrook helps families navigate the complexities of autism with hope and confidence. Whether you're looking for inpatient services, diagnostics, or specialized therapy, Springbrook is here to help your children thrive. To learn more, visit springbrookbehavioral.com and discover why families across the country trust Springbrook to be part of their journey. Hey guys, and welcome back to All Abilities No Filter. I'm Jake, and this is our kickoff to Season 2. We can't believe we're already on our second season of All Abilities No Filter. It's been such an amazing journey and time being able to provide these stories and voices and experiences to all you amazing listeners. And we're just so appreciative of your continued support because you guys are why we do it. And for this first episode of Season 2, it is a great one. I was able to sit down with Becky and Michelle, who are representatives of an organization called Paws with a Cause, which just do an incredible thing. They provide trained service dogs to individuals and families that benefit from that amazing service. They take us through their entire process of the training, of the making sure it's a great fit with the family, but they also share the amazing things that they've seen these animals be able to do for these families and individuals, where individuals are able to do things that they never thought they were able to do. But they also provide and answer a lot of questions that you might have about how to acquire a certain service animal and what boxes you should check off before acquiring the animal, and just telling some pretty superhero things that these dogs are able to do. And it was such a fun conversation. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy this great conversation with some amazing people doing some amazing things. Thanks, guys. And welcome back, guys, to All Abilities No Filter. I'm Jake, and I'm so excited for you guys to be with us for the start of our brand new season, Season 2. First season was like I said, it was our first season, so it was a learning experience. I think we got our feet underneath us by the midway point, and the conversations, the stories. I encourage anybody that hasn't checked out Season 1, please go check that out. We got to meet some amazing people, amazing organizations, and I think the information is really incredible for all of our listeners, parents, teachers, advocates, therapists. We try to cover it all. And as you kind of heard from our intro for this episode, we're kicking off Season 2 with something I have been super excited about, and I think will be something all of our listeners just love to talk about, because guess what, guys? Everybody loves puppies, everybody's loved dogs, and we love hearing how they're just helping everyone they come in contact with. And I have some amazing guests from an amazing organization that are going to just have a conversation with me about the process of service dogs and animals and the benefits, but also the process of how to go about acquiring the services and things like that. So Becky and Michelle, thank y'all so much for joining me today on our episode. If you don't mind, just let our listeners know your story, what you're all about, and especially what your organization is about also.
Sure. Thanks for having us today. Well, I'm Michelle Sahaski. I'm the CEO of Paws with a Cause, and we are a nonprofit organization based in Michigan, but we have clients in 30 states, so we're national, and we exists to transform lives and strengthen communities through custom-trained working dogs, which includes both assistance dogs and facility and therapy dogs. So we've been around since 1979. I personally have not been around since 1979 at Paws, but have been blessed to be with the organization for the past 7 years. And I have always seen the power of how dogs make a difference in people's lives. Whether you see that in a hospital setting, or even for me, one of my best friends in college had an assistance dog, and how an assistance dog really can reduce barriers and help people live independent lives and thrive. So it's been really exciting to be able to talk today a little bit with your listeners about what these dogs can do.
Fantastic. Let's see.
So, and I can
Becky,
introduce myself. I'm Becky.
please.
I'm our Chief Programs Officer. I haven't been here since the conception of Paws, but I've been here for a long time. So I've spent 30 years with Paws, starting out as a trainer and working my way through. Have a lot of compassion about working with dogs that are specially trained to assist individuals of different needs. Before working at Paws, I worked in a school setting with children of all different types of needs. So something that is very close to my heart is helping to serve individuals with our custom trained assistance dogs.
Awesome. First question is, do y'all have the coolest job in the world? I mean,
Since I've spent the day sneaking out of my office to see a litter of puppies, yes, absolutely.
I'm so jealous because it is. I've worked with different organizations, kind of similar, and it's when they are around the dogs, around the puppies. I mean, it really is just the emotional support they provide, not just to who they're servicing, but anybody around them. It's quite amazing. So you said you're kind of located or spread out or serving over 30 different states.
Yeah,
And that's awesome. But y'all are based out of Michigan, is that correct?
that is correct. Yes.
Okay.
We do all of our training here in Michigan, but we have foster puppy raisers around the country who start our puppies out. But then we actually bring clients in, and we bring them into our program. But then one of the things that makes our program really unique than a lot of assistance dog organizations is that when we're ready to place the dog with the client, we actually place it in their home, which allows us to serve people outside of just a really close radius to where we live. And so we'll actually bring the dog to South Carolina, and you will have a field representative trainer of ours that is in your area that will serve you and help support that team. So it allows us to be able to have clients beyond just a really small geographic region.
Awesome. What type of clientele do you typically see when you're trying to match dogs? So as listeners know, what I typically do on a day-to-day basis is I specialize and work with individuals with autism, and everywhere on the spectrum that you can kind of think of. That's what I specialize in. That's what I do. What kind of clientele do you see? Because a lot of people think when they see a service animal around somebody, they typically go to a mental or intellectual disability or some type of physical limitation. But I know they can serve so many different types of populations.
So we have several different programs. So we train our assistance dogs to meet the needs of an individual that has a physical disability. So that is a very, very wide umbrella. So it could be an individual with multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, a spinal cord injury, Parkinson's disease. So lots of different physical disabilities are served under that category. We work with dogs that are trained to assist an individual with epileptic seizures. We have our hearing dogs that are trained to alert an individual that is hearing impaired or deaf. We have our autism program that specifically focuses on children, meeting their needs for an assistance dog to mitigate their disability. And then we have a brand new program for medical assistance or medical alert, which will be doing type 1 diabetes and POTS early detection. Then we have another one of our programs, which is our facility dog program. That program is training. It's the one dog that will help many people versus the assistance dogs, which is one dog helping one person. Our facility dogs are trained and placed in schools, hospitals, police departments, or other first responders that are going to use that dog in a crisis scenario. They work with that dog in a hospital, specifically with some of the patients that are there going through physical therapy, occupational therapy, rec therapy, and sometimes just there to help brighten those individuals' days.
Yeah, and I think those are the specific things we do. So when you talk about the umbrella of assistance dogs, that is a general term. And so in the United States, it is under the Americans with Disabilities Act that where people get that definition. So an assistance dog is a dog that has been specifically task trained for an individual with a disability to mitigate that disability. And so some of the common ones, most people think of guide dogs, right? So that is a very common assistance dog that's out there. There's guide dogs, and then there's hearing dogs, and then there's a whole group of service dogs that include dogs for people with autism, dogs that support PTSD, all those types of things, as well as seizure response. So it really can be any dog that has been specifically task trained. And I mention that because it's really, really critical. A lot of people don't understand that. And when you have an assistance dog that has been specifically task trained, those are the dogs that can go out into public with you. They can go to the restaurant, they can go to the store or the football game or wherever you're going with your life. They're the ones who by federal law have public access rights versus a social support dog or a therapy dog, which only has access in your house unless somebody specifically says, yes, you can bring that dog into our environment. So
Yeah, that's a big question a lot of people have is what's the difference between, like I said, a service animal and a therapy animal. And I have a dog named Cooper who is a registered therapy dog. So he comes to work with me every day. He gets to spends one-on-one time with the kids, love it, but he's not a service animal. I cannot bring him on a plane. And I let people know, because I took him through the training that it took to get his certification, and it is nothing compared to what an actual service registered animal kind of goes through. And if you can kind of speak on that, what type of training, and I would love to know, because I've always been so amazed by how they detect certain things to warn of seizures or low blood sugar, or because I've had friends and other people that I know that have those types of service animals, and just out of the blue, they're tapping on the back of their leg, they're whimpering or whatever it is to let them know to sit down. And my mind is blown. I'm like, is your dog reading your mind? Is it just a super dog? What's happening? What types of
all
training?
dogs are super dogs.
Oh,
So,
they are. And I'm like, this is
well,
like, what is this? I would love
yeah,
to
and I'll
know
let
how
Becky
that
talk a little
happens.
bit about that experience because she's trained. But I will
Yeah.
say that if somebody is looking, it is really important that they're talking to programs that first and foremost they should look for a program that's accredited either by Assistance Dogs International or the International Guide Dog Federation. It is how you can ensure that you're getting a dog that has been trained really well, that they're really thoughtful about the disabilities that they're serving, and providing that support for that team. And so any of the listeners can look at Assistance Dogs International and find organizations that serve in their area. I just mentioned that because it is so critical that you have a dog, as you said. I mean, they're amazing. These assistance dogs are amazing, and you really want one that has been trained to serve the people that they're with. And I'll let Becky maybe talk a little bit from, like, especially the autism families, how they get what we do when we match and then train that dog. It's fascinating. I agree.
Yeah. So, again, so this will be specifically based on Paws with a Cause, and there's always going to be some variations. But if you're going with an organization that has been accredited by Assistance Dogs International or IDGF, it's going to be somewhat similar. And for us, we purposely breed our dogs. So it starts even before that dog is born in looking at the parents of the litter to make sure they have the traits that an assistance dog is needed so that they can pass those on to their offspring. We then, once that dog is born, we do early development for its first 8 weeks, just some early socialization in that whelping home, we call it. They then go to a foster home where a raiser will keep them for about 12 to 14 months. And they're doing that basic socialization. So they're going to get that dog used to and comfortable riding in vehicles, going to a mall, being comfortable riding in an elevator, knowing how to walk up and down stairs, going into a restaurant or a grocery store. So they're going to get that dog looking and seeing and being aware of all of those different type of environments it might work in as an adult and be comfortable and confident in those environments. Our program then has a great program where we send our dogs for an additional 6 months into a prison program. It not only serves us, but it also really helps those inmate handlers that are working with that dog. So they have a lot of dedicated time to work on some really advanced obedience skills for those dogs and really fine tune that obedience so that our trainers don't have to work on that once they come into training. It also gives them a purpose. They have shown that these programs reduce recidivism rate. We have worked with some of our inmates that might have been in prison for 20 years, and they said they haven't seen a dog in those 20 years. And now, here is this nice, fluffy golden retriever that wants your attention, and it is a ray of hope for them too. Our dogs eventually come back. Once they enter our training, we then are going to test our dogs. Dogs, like humans, have things that they are good at. So is this dog going to be really good as that service dog? Is it going to be a really good autism assistance dog, which means that it really is attracted to children and wants to be around them? Or is this dog going to be that really good school facility dog because it loves everybody and it wants everybody to pay attention to it versus just the one handler? So you have dogs that have a wide assortment of skills. So we're going to see what that dog is best suited for. Once we decide what that dog's career path is, it then spends anywhere from 5 to 8 months of training at our facility to learn how to be that dog for whatever that career it will end up going to. We then have our client side. So while the dog is going through training, we have our clients that are going through that application process. So they're applying for a dog. They're letting us know what their needs are. We're interviewing them. We're talking to them. We're meeting with them in their home and finding out who that person is, what they need their dog to do for them. And then we have that matchmaker point where we've got to say, okay, what is our best match between dog and individual or dog and facility, so group? Once we know that dog is now custom trained to meet that specific needs of that individual, because needs vary greatly. So somebody that is in a wheelchair and has multiple sclerosis is very different than a child with autism and what their needs are.
Well, and I think what's really interesting is, if you think about a family with a child with autism, maybe they come to us and they say, one of our big concerns is our child elopes. That, it's one of those huge fears that families have, right? And they come to us and say, can the dog help with this? What does this look like? And then we're going to find out, what are the triggers? Are there things that are happening that where the child is more likely to elope or not? Are there certain situations? We're going to ask all those questions. We're going to talk with those families. And that's what a service dog organization is going to do, is they're going to really find out what that means. And then when we found that dog, you asked, how do we train the dog? Are they magical? Yeah, we're going to start replicating those things for that family, right? So we're going to say, okay, this family has seen this problem when they've been in grocery stores. So we're going to start that dog on our training site. We're going to start in the classroom setting where there's all the and we're going to say, okay, when the child takes a step away, the dog is going to be taught to do something else. And so in the case of eloping, our dogs actually wear a special cape for our children with autism program. And so the child has a leash and the parent actually has the leash. And so if the child moves away from the dog is taught actually to stand still and give a signal to the parent that something is going on. So the parent knows that something is happening, and then they can react to, oh my gosh, the child is moving the other direction, and bring them back to the situation. So, but we're going to find out all those things, and then we're going to start building that training. So I think it's really fun to watch a trainer start from day one, right? You sit there and you've got this big bundle of energy, a big golden retriever, and they're goofy and they're happy and their tail is wagging, and then starting with just that bonding process of getting them to start connecting with somebody and learning how to snuggle with that child. So we actually bring out toys. We have a dog for a child with autism, and she loves dressing her dog up. So we actually practice dressing that dog up before it went to the client, right? So that they're used to that environment and they know how to react. So eloping is a big one. A lot of times we have families that come to us and say, my child maybe has some more OCD types of symptoms where they're, maybe they're picking at their fingernails or whatever it is, and then to be able to teach the dog to respond to that and actually interrupt that behavior. So those are just a couple of small examples, but then we're going to actually look at and replicate that in our space and then go out in public and do it in a variety of different places. So the dog just gets really intuitive of like, when this is happening, this is my cue to do this next task.
So parents can actually like tell you guys behaviors they see out of their child, and you guys can kind of modify or incorporate training to the dogs to address that certain behavior that they're seeing in their kid. Wow, that's amazing.
One of the other really big ones that I know many of our kids, it's probably one of our most requested, alongside the elopement, is deep pressure therapy. So we know that, there's some great benefit from, having that deep pressure where we get families that go, giving my child a hug really will help calm him down, help soothe him. So we teach the dogs to do that. So, and not only do we teach the deep pressure, we're going to talk with the family and go, okay, what do you think your child is going to benefit best from? So it could literally be a chin across the thigh, because that is what the child wants, or it could be the dog's rib cage across both of their legs or across their chest. We had one child who, one of my favorite stories is that to go to the dentist, he had to be highly medicated to be able to go through that dental procedure, just a cleaning. He couldn't handle it. So his dog was taught a full body deep pressure. So he would go in he had his dog, he went to his dentist, and they tried it, and they were able to, with the dog laying on top of him during the dental cleaning, was able to get through that whole exam unmedicated. The dog did everything that those medications were doing in helping to soothe this young boy and be able to get through that procedure. So just the fact that, the dog was able to provide that level of comfort and confidence it's just unbelievable. And some of the changes that we can see in the children learning how to self-soothe and how to cope with some environments that might have been traumatizing to them.
Parents who say that they can sleep through the night.
Yeah.
I mean,
man, for any
changes your
that's amazing.
life.
I know.
That
is amazing.
changes your life.
I'll never forget. I had my first year teaching in my first classroom. I had a young girl who had a service animal, and during certain days, the animal was allowed to come into the classroom and spend the day with her, because they were working still on building that. And that deep pressure was super interesting, because I remember one day we're outside and they're coming, and she started to have just one of her crisis moments, and we weren't ever really sure what triggers them. But I remember her mother came with us that day, and she told her to lay down, and I was like, okay, never seen it before. And then they called the dog over, and just what you said, just literally laid on top of her. And this was a big dog. Like, I'm not quite sure what dog it was, but it was bigger than a lab, and this girl was tiny. But it was so amazing because it didn't go flop on top of her. It literally laid down on one side, and you could tell it was being as careful as it could just to lay across her stomach, and instant calmness. It was pretty amazing. But it was because I thought when they said to lay down, it was just going to flop on her and just kind of like lay on it. It was the most delicate thing I've ever seen a dog do, because it was really like he just went into work mode. it was like just making sure he was, every so often he would look at her, lick her hand, and if she moved, he would move and adjust with her. It was just, it was, it's one of those moments where you're just like, dogs are so much smarter than humans, because it's just like they're so more intuitive than humans are. And I've just seen so many things like that, and it's so cool. It's just so cool. I had a dog prior to Cooper who was another trained service dog, and it was like that too. It took her just so long, and they try to teach her just to be aware of so certain things. Like if we have kids that when they get escalated, they first thing they just jump up real quick. They can have very quick, super serious moments that startle me. And I remember training her and them training her to not react to those very quick, sudden movements and get scared. Coop's still working on that, but she was really good with that. But it really is, it's like all the patience you wish we had as humans, dogs learn it so much easier than we do. It is quite amazing. So do you guys have certain breeds? Are they all the same breed, or do you only accept certain breeds? What do y'all work with?
So, as Becky mentioned, we actually have our own breeding program.
Yeah.
So we actually produce our dogs. We work in 4 breeds at Paws. 2 are very common across the industry. So Labrador Retrievers, you'll see a lot of labs out there that become assistance dogs. They're the workhorses of every family. And then Golden Retrievers, which are big lumps of joy. We also have standard poodles, which makes us a little unique. We do standard poodles. They are incredibly smart, gentle, loving, wonderful dogs. They are also hyperallergenic. One of the misconceptions out there is that doodles are hyperallergenic, and you can't actually guarantee that. And when you're talking about families who have children with autism who often have serious allergy problems, it becomes really important that that's a question that you answer. And then we also have a small breed that we work with. We don't tend to place them with children with autism, but we do them as hearing dogs, and we'll do them with medical alert, which are Papillons, which are a little toy breed that's about 10 pounds. So
That's awesome. I know, because I know a lot of, is there an option, and parents ask me this, that they have a dog and they feel like they would be a wonderful service dog. Have y'all ever heard of, or there are options where parents can get their dog certified as a actual service dog?
there are a few programs that do that.
Okay.
So there are a couple of ADI accredited organizations that will help an individual work with their own dog. But there is also a lot of private trainers that they might be able to find in their area. So one thing with the ADA, it says a dog that is trained to mitigate that disability. So it doesn't say who has to train that dog, though. And you had mentioned certification. Under the ADA, there is no certification requirement. So under ADI, Assistance Dogs International, who is our accrediting body, we have a certification that says like you've completed the Paws with a Cause program. But just to have a assistance animal under the ADA, there is actually not a certification requirement, as long as that dog is trained to perform a task that mitigates that individual's disability. So that dog could be agency trained, such as a dog from Paws. It could be trained by a private trainer, so somebody that is local to them that might have that knowledge. And if they have a background and they know how to train their dog, they actually would be able to train their dog themselves.
Yeah, you know what? I think the one caution that I would give to families, if you have a dog, that when you go and talk to the trainer, that you're really open if the trainer doesn't see what you see. I think we all see the best in our dogs. So being really honest and being able to say, hey, this dog maybe isn't suited to being a service dog, because I think you can teach a dog to pick something up or, all of those skills, but it's the underlying temperament of being able to react interact in different environments that become a really limiting factor for a lot of dogs, right? So, so I think it's really being open to saying, okay, if I'm looking for an assistance dog that's going to have public access, is my dog really going to be able to do that? Is that fair to ask my dog? Is that fair to ask my family? And a trainer can help you assess that. So being really open to that conversation, because it may go really well and it might be like, yeah, you're right, this is the perfect dog, but it may be this dog really maybe doesn't have something that makes them suitable for the work. The other thing that I would caution is, and maybe not so much of a big deal if you have a dog for a person with autism, because the physical tasks are a little different. But if you're talking about a dog who's working with somebody who maybe uses a wheelchair or for counterbalance or something that's requiring more physicality, you're going to want to make sure your dog is physically able to do that work. You don't want to harm your dog. So you're going to want to make sure it doesn't have hip dysplasia or elbow dysplasia, really, because the last thing you want to do with your amazing dog is put it in a situation where it could hurt itself. So
Yeah, I had a dad ask me about that, and they had an Irish Wolfhound, which is a horse, and they thought that would be a great one. And my completely unprofessional opinion, I told him, I was like, that dog is going to be half the size of your child and bigger for the longest time. And then he did what you guys said, but they said exactly what you said. That dog is very, with the hip dysplasia can happen. The long legs can have issues when doing things. So it is, not every dog is built to be one. Cooper, my dog, everyone says, oh, you should get him certified in this so he can go on planes and do this. He is an amazing dog, just greatest temperament, everything. But I can, just being around him all the time, I know putting him through that amount of training and having that amount of expectations, he doesn't have the personality for it. It's just, and you're right, you have to, not every dog's built for it. And it's just, that's why I love what you guys do by breeding them and raising them for that amazing purpose. And I tell parents, it's like, that's, in my opinion, that's what you should look for, because these people know their dog. They can tell you what tasks and things.
Thanks. Well, and even like with us, like not every dog we breed is going to go out as an assistance dog. It's going to go and do whatever is best for that dog. But sometimes we breed dogs and its best thing that it wants to go do is go and find some drugs with the police department, right? They just have a little bit too much energy for our program, a little bit too active. So every dog out there has a wonderful purpose. So they just have to know if being a assistance animal is the right purpose for that dog.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that I think is amazing about this is, you look at the people that are asking for a dog and they're individuals, right? I think that's the thing to always remember. Every person who walks in the door is an individual with their own things that make them an amazing person, right? And so how are you going to serve that individual? And then we have our dogs who are also individuals, and it's really matching for that perfect match, right? So finding how you can really serve each person where they're at with the dog that's best suited to serve that person where they're at. And those are the successes. Like those are when you see the stories that really happen. And I think that part of the process of like the other thing that if you have a parent who's looking at doing something like this with their family, I would ask the question, you need to know, as the person that you're looking to hire to have bring that dog to you, you want them to know everything about you. You want them to understand what your family is like, what your child is like. We're going to go in, like, so for our process, when we have a client that we're bringing into our program, we actually go into the home and we interview the family. We actually videotape. We want to find out what your lifestyle is like. I always say, we always look for the things that you think about, but all the things you're not thinking about, partially because that means we may be able to give you a task that you didn't even realize would help your family, right? Part of it is that we make sure we have the right dog. A family of empty nesters is very different than a family that has 5 children under the age of 10. You're right. You need a totally different dog for those environments. So you really want to know those things, and you want to find a provider who's good, who cares about who you are as an individual, who your family is, and what does your lifestyle look like, so that they're finding that dog that can really sort of match that.
Yeah. Another key, I think that's really important, is going in to the process if they're just trying to say, is this right for me? Do I have the time to commit to training with my dog? Because even a dog from a agency trained program, training is for life. If you don't maintain your dog's behaviors, it's going to lose those behaviors. So just knowing that, yes, I've got that even 30 minutes a day that I can dedicate to training my dog, bonding with my dog, and ensuring that my dog's training behaviors stay consistent for the working life of that dog. It is a commitment. So it's not just a magic tool that comes into the home and they don't have to do any work with. There is a lot of work that the user of the assistance dog has to invest in their dog.
Yeah, I mean, probably the best thing from a pet ownership standpoint is, I don't know if you've ever had a pet at home and you have all the good rules, and then the first day somebody actually gives them a table scrap from dinner while you're sitting at the dinner table. That dog is going to remember that forever.
Tell people at work all the time.
You have to maintain the structure that you
Yeah.
want.
Don't even.
No, every day.
Everybody wants to feed Coop at work, and it's just, they'll do it, and I'll tell them not to, but I know who's doing it because it's the one he's sitting next to, staring up at the whole time we're doing work, and it's just like, I got you, Coop. We'll rat you out in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I was gonna say dogs can't lie.
No, they'll
dogs
rat
won't
you out.
Tell you what? Yes, it's happening.
It's terrible. So if a parent decides Paws with a Cause is the right one for them or what they want, what kind of steps or what do you recommend they do? What's the process?
So the process for Paws, or really for any organization, is to, first look at the organization, do their research, make sure that program is the right fit for them. Then if they feel that that program is the right fit for them, there is the application steps. So we have a whole enrollment period during which an individual requests an application. Then there are steps to go through completing that application, completing the in-home assessments. So every program is going to be slightly different in how they do their application process. So it is research that program, especially if it is not an ADI or an IDGF accredited program. Research, so that you know what you are getting is a quality product. And then obviously making sure that that program is providing the service that you need. I mentioned some of the programs we do. We don't do guide dogs. So somebody who is visually impaired, we aren't the right program for them. There's hundreds of programs that are the right program for them. So you just need to make sure you're going to a program that is providing that service that you are requesting.
Yeah. But every application process, and this is true for ours, it's pretty user friendly, right? So ours is on the website. So you go to our website at pawswiththecause.org. You go to the application process. There's a pre-application where we ask some of those beginner questions. So one of the things we haven't talked about is the elephant in the room. How much does the dog cost? I don't want to pretend that isn't a real concern for families, because it is. Our program is very unique in that we do not actually charge our clients for their dog. We have a small application fee. It is $50 to apply, but otherwise there is no cost until you actually have the dog. And then obviously you pay for food and vet care and all of that. And even saying that, I mean, you should be planning $1,500 to $2,000 a year for the care of that dog, right? So, but most programs are going to charge something, right? And it could be anywhere from $2,500 to $20,000. So you need to know how much it costs for you to even get that dog to start that process. So, like I said, we're very unique in that we are funded by an amazing donor community that helps make this possible, so that we can go out there and provide our dogs at no cost to our clients. And so you pay that application fee, you start the application. If you get accepted in for a full application, we're going to get medical records. We're going to find out from your doctors what your condition is, what does it look like. Like I said, we're actually going to send our field rep in your home. We're going to do interviews with you. We're going to videotape. We're going to ask you what you think the dog can do for you. And then we're also going to help you tease that out, because you may have things that a dog can't do. If you want the dog to fold your clothes, the dog's not going to be able to fold your clothes. They do not have opposable thumbs. But you may find that the dog can do things you never realized. We have a family who has a young son with autism, and one of the things they always struggled with is at the end of the evening, like getting him to brush his teeth and do all of those things. And through the tasks that we've been able to work on, they have been able to work through that, because now part of the assignment is that the dog gets his teeth brushed, and so he gets to help the dog brush his teeth, and then he needs to brush his teeth. So it becomes this whole family experience. So we can do things that maybe you didn't even realize the dog could be part of the process with. So we're going to walk through all of those things. Then we're going to find the dog. And then once you get the dog, as Becky said, that's when the real work starts, because we're going to start training you to work with your dog. And that's where the rubber meets the road. So
Amazing. So many times we've tried to, when I was in the school system or being advocates for parents looking into this, like you said, the cost was sometimes the killing factor, where they're just like, we can't, because I've seen $15,000. And so the fact that y'all are able to offer that service to families that typically wouldn't be able to afford, that's amazing. And that just offers so many pathways for kids, and adults too, because again, it's just, I've seen situations where I know this kid would not be graduating if it wasn't for that dog that came to school with him almost every day, or he's drawing pictures of every single day. Or when he comes into my class, that's the first thing he tells me is what Spot did the day before. And just, it showed he could have friends, or not every situation is terrifying, or he's not weird. He's now the cool kid with the awesome dog. And the fact that y'all can provide that for just so many people is amazing. So what is probably y'all's, this is why I do moments? Have y'all had anything y'all can remember where it's a moment that you've seen an interaction with somebody with one of the dogs that you'll never forget? Or I know you have probably so many, but anything y'all that just comes to mind?
I have many. Early on in our autism program, I will tell you about an experience we had. So I was at the mall with the mother and the child, and we went to a gaming store. And I guess from what Mom said, that this could be an area that would quickly get the child over threshold and could get the child upset rather easily if he didn't find exactly what he was looking for almost instantaneously. But instead, he went up to a game shelf, pulled a game off, showed it to the dog, and said, "This is not the one I'm looking for," and put it back. Pulled another one off, showed it to the dog, and he did that about 4 or 5 times till eventually he got to the one and went, "Look, this is the one we want." And he gave it to his mother, and they proceeded up and purchased it. And the next thing I know, the mom is running out of the store crying her eyes out. And I'm like, what just happened? This just went wonderful. What happened? And so I went up to try to comfort the mom, and it was tears of joy. She said never in her life had her child been able to pick up and put back the video, because if it wasn't the one he wanted, he would become extremely upset. And so the fact that it actually happened 4 times, he picked it up, showed it to the dog, and told the dog it was the wrong one, but was able to put it back on the shelf and calmly go to the next one. She said she was just amazed. So that is probably 10 years ago, and it still sticks in my head. Just that the mother was, like I said, she was just so overcome with emotions on how well that went.
Yeah, one of mine is actually with a woman who uses a wheelchair. She was born with cerebral palsy, and one of her dreams was to foster children. we as a country need more people who are willing to foster children. And she wants to do this. And her wheelchair use and her disability was becoming a barrier to her be able to do that. The government was like, we're not sure, blah, blah, blah. And so she applied for a service dog. And I remember the day she sent us the picture of the 3 kids she were fostering, and they were getting their adoption ceremony at the courthouse. And the whole family, including the dog, had T-shirts on that said, and so the dogs was like dog sibling. And I mean, I was like, we changed how many lives? That was for me one of the best moments. So,
It's amazing. We need those that keep us going because, like I said, we chose fields that, yes, have the greatest amount of reward, and we know why we do it. But this is why I do it. Moments don't hurt every now and then. We love to have them. But Michelle, Becky, thank y'all so much for coming on to here. Like I said, this is one I've been dying to have because it's just these creatures that come into our lives. I mean, they can really say they love their job. We say it sometimes, and sometimes we mean it. Sometimes we don't. They do, and they're so good at it. And it's because of people like you guys that people that really need them can have access to them, and it's amazing. I know you guys have said it somewhat through the episode, but please tell listeners where they can find Paws with a Cause, where your information's at. And listeners, all their information is going to be on our website as usual. But just anything else you want the listeners to know, how to get in contact, or anything at all.
Sure. Well, it's Paws with a Cause. Our website is actually pawswithacause.org. And so we have a full website that has all of our contact information. There's a way to support us financially if you want to make a donation. There's also information on volunteering. Like I said, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities, obviously, in Michigan, but we have puppy clubs if you ever thought you wanted to foster a puppy elsewhere in the country. So you can certainly do that. And then, of course, if you are looking for a service dog, we invite you, please look at our website. Our application enrollment period is the first 3 months of the year, and you can get in and learn some more information. Call our team members if you have questions, and we can help either direct you to a place to find an organization that can help you, or maybe help you ourselves. So, yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. It's been so much fun. Well, listeners, as we said earlier, this is the kickoff to season 2 of All Abilities, No Filter. Check out our website for amazing content, amazing resources, because like we said, every episode, guys, we want to base these episodes off what you guys need, what you're going through, and provide as much information as we can. So definitely go check us out anywhere you find podcasts. Follow us. Again, we're so excited for season 2 to come out, and thank you guys for being with us today. And we look forward to our next unfiltered conversation. Thanks, guys.